Welcome to the Deep Dive. Today we're swapping the studio for the sun because we are tackling the world of real estate in Phuket, Thailand. And, buying a slice of that paradise. It sounds like the ultimate dream. A modern villa, an infinity pool. But, well, the sources we have make one thing very clear.
That it's not that simple.
Not at all. Without the right guidance, that dream can become a sort of legal and financial maze.
Right.
So our mission today is to be your compass through that maze. We're going to extract the essential steps, the insider tips, everything you need to avoid those really costly headaches.
It's about getting a shortcut from that sunny daydream to a solid, secure investment.
And the authority we're drawing from here is, it's crucial. This guidance comes directly from Ocean Worldwide.
A luxury real estate agency that's been on the ground in Phuket since 2004, so they've seen it all.
Exactly. And their director, Sandra O'Neill, has personally helped thousands of families and investors over the years. So this isn't theory. It's a real-world, hard-won experience we're about to unpack.
And that experience is what we need. We're moving beyond the exciting pictures of beaches and getting into the practical steps. The source isn't just selling a dream. It's a full checklist for success.
Okay, so let's start with that foundation. The guide really stresses this. Defining your requirements before you even start looking. It's about creating what they call a ruthless buyer's filter. If you skip this, you just waste months looking at the wrong places.
And you risk getting emotionally attached to what could be a huge financial mistake. You have to align the property with your actual goals, and the guide breaks this down into 4 key pillars.
The first one being purpose.
Exactly. Is this a holiday home you'll use for a few weeks a year? Is it a permanent place to retire? Or is it just a rental investment machine? That one question changes everything.
And then you get into the more practical stuff like users and lifestyle.
Yeah, being realistic about space. Do you really need 4 bedrooms, or will 2 be just fine?
And lifestyle is that big question, right? Do you want total peace and quiet up in the jungle? Or do you need to be able to walk to a great coffee shop?
Absolutely. And that leads to the last pillar. Your non-negotiable amenities. You have to separate what you want from what you truly need.
Like, is a private pool actually essential for rental income in that area? Is high-speed Wi-Fi a deal breaker because you work remotely?
Right. You list these things out. And that list, as you said, it's your defense against all the excitement.
But let me ask you this. Is there a risk that if you get too specific with those non-negotiables, a certain brand of kitchen or fiber internet for trading, that you just shrink your market down to almost nothing?
That's a really sharp point. And yeah, the sources implicitly warn against that. The filter can't be a straitjacket. Ocean Worldwide's experience suggests that if you have 10 non-negotiables, you might only find a handful of properties that fit.
So you have to be pragmatic.
You have to. You should tier your list. What are the 3 absolute deal breakers, and what are the things you could maybe add later with a renovation? That's your insurance against emotional overspending.
Perfect. So you have your list. But where do you even start looking? Because the sources are so clear that Phuket isn't just one market.
Not at all. It's a series of distinct micro-markets. And choosing the wrong one can completely sabotage your investment, no matter how nice the villa is.
So if you're looking for, say, high-end rental income, consistent bookings, where does the guide point you?
It points you very strongly to Bang Tao and the Laguna area. That market is mature, it's got international prestige, and it offers really steady price growth. It's reliable.
Okay, but what if you're not after that?
Yeah.
What if you want something quieter, more stable for a long-term tenant?
Then you look south to Rawai and Nai Harn. They're very popular with expats and families. It's more of a residential feel than a resort feel, which is great for attracting those longer-term renters.
And the guide also mentions an area for the more patient investor.
It does. It highlights Nai Yang. It's near the airport, and it's still developing. So the guide is very clear this is not the place for quick rental profits right now.
The infrastructure isn't there yet.
Exactly. But it has huge potential for long-term capital appreciation if you're willing to wait, 5, maybe 10 years for it to mature.
Then you have the more local areas. Phuket Town, Shillong, Katu.
Right. These are areas that really serve the local community. The demand is stable for sure, but they don't have that high-gloss holiday feel that brings in the top-tier international renters.
That's a fantastic breakdown. And the guide adds a really practical check here. Pull up Google Maps.
Yes.
Check the accessibility. Can you actually walk to a shop? Or are you going to be completely dependent on a scooter just to get a bottle of water? That can kill the appeal of a property.
And that leads right into the next phase. building your professional team. Your real estate agent needs to be your guide, not some pushy salesperson.
What should you look for?
Responsiveness, someone who actually listens to your budget, and deep local insight. For instance, do they know the reputation of the local developers? That's critical if you're buying off plan.
Okay, on the flip side of that, let's talk about avoiding scams. What are the big red flags the sources warn us about?
The biggest one is pressure. This price is only good for 24 hours. That's a classic.
Right.
And critically, any request for a large upfront payment to an individual's personal bank account.
Instead of a proper, verifiable company escrow account.
Exactly. That is a massive red flag. You have to stick with licensed agents and reputable developers. If it sounds too good to be true.
It is. It always is. Now, let's talk defense. The source calls a lawyer your essential armor. Why is that so non-negotiable in Thailand? Can't the developer's lawyer just handle it?
Absolutely not. That is probably the fastest way to disaster. Thai property law is a genuine maze, especially for foreigners. You need someone who is only working for you.
And
Usually about 1 to 2% of the purchase price, but it's tiny insurance against, a six-figure mistake down the line.
So it's their main job.
Their first job is to verify the title deed, the shinote. That's the highest form of title in Thailand. They have to check it with the land department. And crucially, they check for something called encumbrances.
Encumbrances.
Yeah.
That sounds serious. What does that actually mean for a buyer?
It means hidden debts or legal claims. So imagine you buy a beautiful villa and then you find out the previous owner had a huge mortgage on it, or a local community has a legal right-of-way through your garden.
Wow.
The encumbrance check makes sure the property is clean. It's your protection against those kinds of nightmare surprises.
Okay, defense is in place. Now we're actually looking at properties. The guide says you have to schedule multiple viewings, right?
Yes, don't just fall in love with the first one you see online. You need context. You need to compare maybe 5 to 7 places side by side to really get a feel for the value.
And when you're there, you have to be a detective.
A total detective. Look past the fresh paint. Because you're dealing with a tropical climate, you have to check for any sign of damp patches. That could mean a bad roof. And you have to check for pests. Termites are a huge issue.
And the guide says to check the guts.
The guts. The plumbing, the electrics, the fuse box. We see it all the time. Buyers failing the sniff test. That little damp patch isn't just cosmetic. It's a sign of ongoing humidity problems, which leads to mold, rust, and really expensive repairs.
And the vibe check. That's crucial.
It is. The sources say you have to visit at different times of the day. A quiet street on a Tuesday morning might be a loud party spot on a Saturday night. You just don't know.
So you take notes, take photos.
Copious notes. Because after you've seen 7 beautiful villas, they all start to blur together. You can't rely on memory alone.
Okay, this is where it gets really interesting. Let's talk about the money and the unique legal side of things in Phuket. This is where most international buyers get trapped.
The first trap is the price tag. You can't just look at the listing price. You have to factor in all the other costs.
Like what?
Stamp duty, legal fees, transfer fees, all of that can easily add another 5 to 10% to the final price.
And then there are the ongoing costs.
Yes, maintenance fees, property taxes. But the real budget killer the sources highlight is the electricity.
But from the air conditioner.
From running the air conditioning 24/7 in that heat. It's a huge shock for new owners. You need a realistic budget for utilities just to make sure the property is actually affordable or profitable long-term.
Now, for the most complex part, the legal ownership for foreigners. The core rule is you can't own land outright.
Correct. That's the main thing to understand. And it leads to the 3 common alternatives the source lays out. The simplest is a freehold condominium.
So you can own the unit itself, but there's a limit.
A very important limit. Foreigners can only own up to 49% of the total units in any single condo building. Once that quota is full, that's it.
And there's a financial requirement for that 49%. Right.
There is. You have to prove that you paid for it with foreign currency, dollars, euros, whatever, transferred into Thailand specifically to buy that condo. Without that proof, the transfer gets denied.
Okay. The second option, which is really common for villas, is the long-term leasehold.
Right. This gives you usage rights for 30 years, and it's usually renewable twice, so you can get up to 90 years.
A lot of buyers get nervous about that, not owning the land. But the Ocean Worldwide sources suggest it can be a better choice. Why?
Because it's simpler and it's cheaper. It can be 5 to 10% less in upfront costs, and it avoids the massive legal complexity of the third option. For an investor who's going to sell in 10 or 20 years, it's very secure.
And that third option is the Thai limited company. This sounds like the workaround to own land. What's the catch?
The catch is the complexity. To be legal, the company has to be majority Thai-owned, at least 51%. The foreign buyer gets control through special shares and voting rights, but it requires constant legal management, annual audits. It's a serious corporate responsibility.
That is a crucial distinction. Now, what about timing? The guide mentions buying off plan,
Yeah, buying before it's built, you can get a big discount, maybe 20–30%, and some extras thrown in. It offers potential for faster appreciation.
but the risk is huge.
The risk is uncertainty. You're betting on the developer. Will they finish on time? Will they finish at all? If you go off plan, your lawyer needs to make sure that contract has rock-solid protections for you if things go wrong.
So when you're negotiating, it's not just about the final number.
Not at all. The biggest red flag during negotiation is if they won't show your lawyer the key documents, like the shnote. If they're evasive, you walk away. Negotiation is about the whole package, the terms, the timeline, the furniture. Knowing why the seller is selling gives you a ton of leverage.
Excellent. So you've done it, you have the keys. What's the very next priority to protect your new asset?
Professional property management. Immediately. Whether you do it yourself or hire a company, you need it. It's essential for maintaining the value of the property, especially in the tropics.
And if you hire a company?
You need to be very clear on the strategy. Are you aiming for short-term holiday rentals, which is high-intensity work, or long-term expat rentals, which is more stable? The fees are very different. You have to know how they handle emergencies and how often they report back to you.
So what does this all mean? I think the core message from Ocean Worldwide's guide is that success here comes down to preparation, your professional team, and just absolute legal diligence.
Absolutely. Buying in Phuket is totally achievable. It can be highly rewarding, but you have to treat it like the serious international investment that it is.
Yeah, if we look at the big picture, the market trend is steady demand for luxury properties, right?
Right.
Because there's only so much land.
Exactly. And that raises a really important question for you, the listener, to think about. If you choose a developing area, something like Nha Yang, how do you balance that low immediate rental income with the potential for long-term growth, especially when you factor in those high continuous costs of just holding the property?
That was a fantastic deep dive. We've gone from the dream of the beach to the reality of transfer fees and that 49% quota. I think we've successfully navigated the maze.
I think so.
For anyone interested in seeing what's actually available right now and getting advice straight from the source of all this guidance, Ocean Worldwide, you can go to oceanwwp.com. The director, Sandra O'Neill, has the data to help you answer that big question about appreciation versus rental yield.
We really encourage you to take this knowledge and use it. It can help you confidently take that next step towards finding your own secure, successful slice of paradise.